My last video comparison between the Oppo Find X7 Ultra and the Vivo X100 Ultra was a bit controversial because some people said, didn't you see the lens switching issues on the Oppo? Didn't you see that? Didn't you say that? It was just a sample video and a quick analysis, and of course on screen what I saw that time was a bit different of what you saw then or what the end result was. So this is a bit of unfortunate, but this is the way it is. And now I want to do in this video, because the Oppo Find X7 Ultra and the Vivo X100 Ultra got an update for their video as well, I want to do a rematch in terms of video and which one has the better video quality altogether, including also all the features that I didn't talk about. And you probably saw maybe also the camera comparison between those two, where they are pretty much neck to neck, and I rated them the same kind of value here. But this might change due to camera updates for the X100 Ultra or even the Oppo Find X7 Ultra, though I expect more from the X100 Ultra than the 7 Ultra, because the 7 Ultra got already tons and tons of updates there. So we start off with 4K 60 frames per second here on the Oppo Find X7 Ultra. As you can see, I have the Vivo X100 Ultra here still in my hands, and what we want to do is perform a little test with the ultra wide angle. Let's switch to the ultra wide angle. Is this smooth or is this a bit stuttery here still? Daylight conditions is a bit of cloudy. There's like rain coming probably pretty soon. So let's try to do a zoom test, perform a zoom test, maybe on those flowers, those white flowers. Let's go to 3x here and let's go to 6x. On screen it looks very, very smooth and no issues there at all and not stuttery at all. Let's go to 3x, 2x and 1x. And let's go back to me. So how does it look like? So what I cannot rule out back when I did this test, because it was definitely stuttery on the Oppo Find X7 Ultra, was it was very harsh sunlight. Maybe, and it was like the second or third take that I took with the Oppo. Maybe it was overheating and was dropping some frames there. Could be. I don't know. We don't know. This is why I'm redoing this test there, because usually it is very smooth and also at 4K 60 frames per second. But what do you think about the quality here on the Oppo Find X7 Ultra? And yeah, of course, we want to do also the front-facing video again. For the front-facing video, as you know, I have to stop recording, and this is something where I want to talk about the Vivo X100 Ultra a little bit, because this has the nice feature that you can switch to the front and to the back the way you want it to, which is quite cool. The only issue is that it has the same issue that some other devices also have. It is like cutting out a few seconds there of the video, of the audio part of the video or the video itself, which is a bit unfortunate. But nevertheless, the stabilization has been updated on the Vivo X100 Ultra. This is now the stabilization and the ultra wide angle that you can see here on the Oppo. This is one advantage that the Oppo definitely has. I think we have a better sensor here on the front-facing camera of the Oppo. So what do you think about the quality here? Like I said, it's a bit of a grayish day. This is why you see a lot of white there. But in general, the Oppo has this thing where there was someone doing this test there with its hand there, exposing to the face. So it's making the face look a little bit whitish more than reddish. And this is something that you, I think, can set up in the settings if you want to. But by default, it ships with this one here. So what do you think about the front-facing camera? Its stabilization, I can go to 1x just to be sure that we can do a nice comparison with the Vivo X100 Ultra after the update, because they did improve the stabilization, like I said. And yeah, what do you think about the Oppo Find X7 Ultra here on the front-facing camera, 4K? I think it's 4K 30 right now. I'm not sure if I chose 60. What do you think about this one here? Now recording with the Vivo X100 Ultra, and this is the front-facing camera, just to make sure. It has autofocus there, as you see, and it is nice. My face is a bit of reddish, I think, at least on screen. We have to see how it will look like with the real deal there. So the real output there, 4K 60 frames per second, has been dramatically improved in terms of stabilization, as you might see here already. But the angle of view you cannot really change, because we have I think maybe you can zoom in. Yes, we can zoom in 2x. So this is something that someone told me, you have the possibility to zoom in 2x, but you cannot zoom out. And there's no button for zooming in. You have to use the swipe gesture. This is why I have to change hands, which is not very convenient sometimes. Anyway, what do you think about the stabilization here? How does it compete with the Oppo Find X7 Ultra? And yes, just to clarify, the Find X7 Ultra was really at 4K 60 frames per second. Just made sure of it. And yeah, what do you think about the sky, the exposure there? Like I said, it's a pretty grayish kind of day. HDR and yeah, stabilization. Now let's switch to the back-facing cameras. What you probably will notice is that, yeah, some seconds were cut out of this clip here. This is one of the issues that I was talking about. So switching between the front and the back cameras is like having some issues. What they fixed, however, is that the stutters that appeared on screen at least are gone now when switching. It is just like having a smooth transition there. So just as a clarification here, I'm jumping in and doing it again. So probably you didn't notice it in the video, I noticed it in post-production. So I'm counting now, 1, 2, 3, and on 3 I will cut to the back-facing camera, and you will notice that one number probably is missing. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So stabilization has been improved on the Vivo X100 Ultra, which is quite nice. What about colors? Do the colors look more pleasant? Is there still a bit too contrasty? Are they still a bit too punchy here? Write it down in the comments section. What do you think about this one? Of course, 4K 60, I can switch to the ultra wide angle, and yes, it's pretty smooth. On screen, it looks, however, as smooth as on the Oppo Find X7 Ultra. The end result video, we have to see if it is as smooth or it's not. We have to see. The other thing is, like, same conditions applied with the Oppo Find X7 Ultra when I was doing my first 4K 60 frames per second video, and either the updates have fixed the Oppo, or the Vivo has the better software already, or the better cooling there for this situation where it didn't stutter at all, or it's just like software optimization that hopefully the Oppo now also has. So this is the ultra wide angle here. We want to do and perform the same kind of zoom test. It's a bit of windy, as you see there on the flowers there. So let's go directly to 3.7 times. This is 3.7 times. And this is 10 times. Very, very smooth, very, very quickly as well, at least on screen. I think it's focusing on the back, not in the foreground. And let's go back to 3x, 2x, and 1x. So when it comes to the zooming performance, the only big difference that I see is that it's a bit slower, the zoom in performance. Like what I said, the zoom animation is a bit slower on the Oppo, where it's a bit quicker on the Vivo. The Vivo has like a curve where it's like accelerating with the zooming. This one here, I think, is very, very slight or subtle when it comes to this curve, and it's a bit like harsher or a bit like faster in the end on the Vivo X100 Ultra. This is what I see, at least on screen. How it will look like in the end result, we will take a look at in a second. And the other thing is that what we want to, or you'll see it already, of course, and can judge and be the judge. The other thing is, like, I find it very interesting. I want to have a disclaimer there. Whenever I do a Vivo versus Oppo, there's like fans from one base and fans from the other base that always claim that I'm biased towards one company. I'm not biased towards any of those companies because they're not paying me any money, and I don't like one device over the other a little bit more here. In this case here, those are very, very good camera smartphones. And like I said, what I said on my camera review, basically the main camera sensor is the same. The Oppo has better portraits in my opinion. The Vivo has better zoom ranges up until this 5x zoom range with much more detail, especially also in the night, where it's like fantastic for a zoom camera, and even better than the Magic 6 Pro that also has a very large zoom camera, 180 megapixel and 1/1.4 inch size sensor there. Why? I'm not getting anything from this. I might have preferences here and there because my use cases here and there are a bit better. Like, for example, portraits I like better on the Oppo, and when I'm photographing my dog, my daughter and so on, I like to use the Oppo a bit more than the Vivo. But I was using the Vivo X100 Pro as well as my main device and like to take photos. No issues there with this at all. It's just like when I compare them with other devices that I find a preference where I see this might perform a little bit better. But there's never the time where I'm in a situation or was in a situation where I thought, maybe I would have liked to have the Oppo now because the Vivo was screwing it up. No. It is just nuances, differences there, and I'm just trying my best to portray and show you the differences between those, because you are the one who then probably are not as crazy as me buying all the phones. You are the one who has to decide which one to buy, and this is why I want to make it as detailed as possible, of course with my preferences and subjective opinion about certain things there as well, like the colors, for example. Some might like a bit more punchy and contrasty color, others don't. So yeah, this is it. Short little disclaimer. Now let's take a look at the videos side by side, and we'll explain a little bit about my analysis, what I found out or figured out here on these devices. And what we want to do as well is, and by the way, I'm still on 1X. Yes, I'm still on 1X. What I want to do as well is dig a little bit deeper into the software as well, to see what are the differences in terms of recording video, because someone claimed, yeah, you're not using the Zeiss natural colors, this is why your video looks so weird. There is no Zeiss natural colors for video. I was looking at it. There's no color profile for video that I can set up or see in the video mode itself. I have certain color profiles in the cinematic portrait, but this is another feature. And yeah, we will talk about this later as well, about the camera video features, video capabilities there as well on those both devices, and which one performs better there in these terms. So we are taking a look at the main footage here with the main camera sensors, 1-inch type sensors, actually the same kind of sensors. So what we see here is just a color difference. In terms of stabilization, I think with the main camera sensors, they're basically doing the same. In terms of colors, we can see a bit more punchy colors on the Vivo X100 Ultra with a bit of more yellowish, greenish kind of face, where the Oppo Find X7 Ultra keeps it more skin color kind of face, and also the back is not so over punched. Look at the yellow there of the flowers and compare it with the Oppo Find X7 Ultra. Also, I think the Vivo X100 Ultra fixed a little bit the too much contrast issue that I had seen before. In terms of sharpness, I think it is still a bit sharper, maybe a bit over sharpened here on the Vivo X100 Ultra. The Oppo Find X7 Ultra is also quite sharp, but not as sharp as the Vivo X100 Ultra here. So you be the judge on this one. And when we take a look at the ultra wide angle, this is coming now, we can see, a huge difference in terms of colors, where we keep like, you see, this kind of color is more similar towards what the Find X7 Ultra has there. But when I switch, you see, during switching, it changes, has this color shifting until it like reaches its final moment there. And when we are looking at the Find X7 Ultra, now frame by frame, you can see it doesn't have this issue. So this is something that we see here for sure on the Vivo X100 Ultra. Otherwise, we have also more of this greenish pronounced color there, where we have a little bit of less color there on the Oppo Find X7 Ultra. Might be not perfect there in terms of colors on the Oppo Find X7 Ultra, but I think it looks less goofy than the X100 Ultra here in this regard. What do you think about the color management here on both? And I think ultra wide angle also is very nice and stable on both. No frame drops, which is quite nice. So the Oppo Find X7 Ultra this time didn't have any frame drops, so I'm just, like I said when I was recording it, I'm expecting it to be maybe a heat problem. Maybe it has worse heating. It wasn't that hot this day, so no heating issues. But you can see the skin color here. Look at my right arm there, left arm actually on the right. More skin color, and here it's like greenish, yellowish kind of skin color, which is a bit weird on the Find X7 Ultra. It's much better than on the Vivo X100 Ultra in terms of colors. And this is pure video mode. Like I said, you can not change so much in terms of colors. It's actually in the normal video mode, there's no color profiles that you can choose from. And the only thing that you can do is like cinematic portrait, for example, where you can choose various different color profiles. And that's the Pro mode, of course. So the Pro mode also allows you, I think, to change the the white balance for sure. That allows us to change the colors a bit, and of course we have the possibility to record in log, which is quite nice. But yeah, we will hear about it, I think, later on. Let's check out the front-facing cameras, because the front-facing cameras is something where I had some issues with the Vivo in the past, because the Vivo was a bit stuttery. And I mean not stuttery in a way that it was dropping frames, but more in the way of that it had some stabilization issues. And here I think it is doing well. It's much better than it last time, but it's still, you can see every footstep that I take is visible. Here on the Oppo Find X7 Ultra, every footstep that I'm taking is much softer, much more stabilized there than on the Vivo X100 Ultra. I noticed that on the X100 Pro as well in the first few firmware versions that it was like this. And here, like going towards the same building there, turning towards the same building, you can see much more warmish kind of color here on the X100 Ultra. Much more coolish kind of color, more natural color of this stone, because this is like not this red the stone of the house. It's not that red. Even if I go a bit further, you can see like now it's almost the same. It is much more punchy colors there in video mode on the X100 Ultra for sure. So what do you think about the video results here? I don't see much of a huge difference there. Also in terms of like the zooming in, zooming out, yes, there's, like I said, the Vivo X100 Ultra is a bit faster and maybe a little bit smoother there. The Oppo Find X7 Ultra sometimes has this jumping effect there as well. But in this case, when I was using the recording here, I didn't notice that so much. And I also did not notice on the Oppo Find X7 Ultra the issue that I had with like zooming in a bit further. Then it's like shifting the image that I see on the screen is something else than what it was recording. So this might be a bug that Oppo still has to fix. At least in this recording, I still didn't have this issue so far. So here are some of the features that the Vivo X100 Ultra allows us to do in video mode. So first of all, we can set up 4K up to 120 frames per second if you want to record it, something that the Oppo cannot do. The same goes for 8K 30 frames per second recording that we also have here on the Vivo X100 Ultra. Let's go back to 4K 60, which is what I set up here as default. As you can see, the only thing that I have here is we have ultra stabilization, which will switch down to 2.8K, as you can see there. And if I go to 4K 60, the ultra stabilization is gone. We have Dolby Vision that we can turn on, which is quite nice. And then we have some other options, like for example, face beautifications that are usually turned off. We can turn on the flash if you want to. And these are basically all the settings. We have some other settings here like the aspect ratio that we can set up, grid lines and shake indicator and such things, teleprompter if we need it. This is not all. We have another cinematic portrait mode here that can be used also with 3.7x. As you can see here, it's switched already the color profile, because here we have color profiles. By default it's recording 1080p, but you can also go to 4K and 30 frames per second, and some effects are not supported at 4K, as you see there. If I go in here, we have the various different effects that we can turn on. I think the classic one looks nice. The natural portrait effect is, I think, the best one. And you can of course choose like the effect, how strong it should be applied, and you can go in here and choose natural or cinematic size bokeh, which is quite nice. So you have the possibility to do so. We can set up the artificial bokeh. We can also turn artificial bokeh off. This is one of the tips that I gave you for the X100 Pro already, to get better video quality. And you can get it here with the Vivo X100 Ultra as well, but you cannot choose 4K 60 frames per second. And yeah, let me choose this. You can see 4K 24 and 4K 30 you can choose here. On the front it's also available, but only at 1080p. So let me switch this to 4K 30 and let's do a quick test. So this is now the cinematic portrait mode with the classic LUT. I think I said the size back bokeh balls there, even though we don't have any artificial bokeh set here. Not sure if it's doing anything then. But what I really like on the X100 Pro already is this mode here. If I would want to record video with the X100, the Vivo X100 Pro or Ultra, I would like to choose the classic version here. Maybe I pull it not to 100%, maybe a bit down, like 80%, 75%, something like this. But this gives me far more natural colors, not too much contrasty look, not too much punchy kind of colors, and it goes up to 4K 30. If you want to record 4K 60, however, you can only like get the video mode. But we have also a Pro video mode as well, which is something that the Oppo simply cannot offer. And yeah, let's check out the Pro video mode. So we went out here and let's go and swipe to the right. Actually, the Pro mode is hiding here under more. And then we can go into video mode here for Pro mode, and here we have all the settings that you could expect from a Pro mode. So we have the ISO that we can set up here, we have the shutter speed that we can set up, auto white balance, we can set up an f point. The cool thing is here it has like really like numbers here, like the Nubia that has numbers, so you can set up a specific number and you know exactly, okay, this will be then this distance. We have the metering that we can set up here if we want to, and of course exposure compensation. But that's not all, because if you take a look at the top row here, what we have there as well is we can set up, of course, the recording performance, so 4K, and here we have PAL recording, not only 30 frames, 60 frames per second and 120 frames per second. No, we also have 24 frames per second. Some phones also offer this, but here we have 25 frames per second, which is like the PAL frames per second, and 50 frames per second as well, which is quite nice. There's no 240 frames per second in 4K, but 1080p offers also 240 frames per second recording. And 8K is not supported as 50 frames per second, but at 25, 24, 30, and that's it. Yes, up to 30 frames per second 8K recording, which is quite nice that we have the possibility to record this, because especially if you want to sync it up with PAL cameras that are recording in 25 frames per second, you have the possibility to do so. Then we have here another option there, which is focus peaking and exposure compensation, exposure feedback, so it will give me feedback on overexposure zebras, basically, as I see. And focus peaking will give me confirmation on whatever it is focusing. I think it's a green focus there, you can see, yeah, it's green focusing pattern, and you can turn it on off. Sadly, we cannot turn on both, but this is a possibility here. Another option that we have is log. So we have the possibility to record in log, a feature I think that the Oppo had in the past, but yeah, it's not there on the Find X7 Ultra anymore, which allows us to color grade our footage later. So in terms of advanced video capabilities, the Vivo is definitely way ahead of the Oppo when it comes to the advanced capabilities and how you can tweak your video footage here. This is something that Oppo cannot compete with. But what we see also in the footage is that Oppo by default, in the default video profile, offers, I think, a better video than the Vivo here. But what is your opinion? You can write it down in the comment section. And of course we will check out the features of Oppo as well. Here we now have the camera user interface of the Oppo Find X7 Ultra, and what we can do here is we have on the top row also an ultra stabilization mode. Also ready is switching to 1080p 60 frames per second. You cannot go higher. If I go to 4K 30 or 60, it will go out of this mode. We have HDR, which is Dolby Vision HDR, so the same as on Vivo. We have some other options here under settings. When we go in here, we can set up formats, high-res formats, for example, for photos, but for video we have also some settings there like audio modes that we can switch. We can turn high efficiency video mode on, such things. But what is more important, we have a depth of field option. So if you want to set a depth of field here, it is allowing to add like a bokeh mode that we saw on cinematic portrait. However, it will switch down to 1080p for this one, which is, I think, not always ideal. Then we have some color filters here as well, like radiance and so on. But again, those are very nice. You can switch between them, vivid, cool. You can choose how your phone should record video, but it will go to 1080p, down to 1080p again. And we have the retouch option here, where we can retouch faces, which will also switch to 1080p. So we have a bit of a limitation. Of course, we can turn on the flash there as well if you want to, which is quite nice. Then the other mode that we have here is under More, which is called Movie Mode. And this is a mode that allows us to use in landscape, of course, some manual features, but it's not the same as we have with the Vivo Pro video mode, because here we have some limitations. So we can set up an ISO, we can set up a shutter speed if we want to, exposure compensation. As you see, I was playing around with autofocus points. Again, we have also numbers here, which is quite nice because then it allows us to reuse those numbers, and we can set a certain white balance here if we want to. We can set it to auto, which will automatically choose a white balance, which is like wrong right now. It's a bit too cool, so I would go like more towards 4400, which is more realistic to what I see with my own eyes. But this is it in terms of manual features that we have here, and it's only recording in like this stretched 1080p I think option. There's no possibility over the frame rate or the resolution, so the only thing that I can do is like turn on histogram and grid, which is nice, but yeah, and turn this off here, set a focus point and white balance point. You can also like set the focus point and the metering point somewhere else if we want to. Yeah, that's it. Turn on flash. Nothing else that I can set up here, but at least it allows us to switch between all the lenses, which is quite nice. So let's check out a short video sample of this mode. Now I'm recording with the Oppo Find X7 Ultra in movie mode. What do you think about this quality here? You can see it's a bit stretched out, like 21:9 aspect ratio, cinematic kind of aspect ratio. The bad thing about this, you cannot switch to a normal aspect ratio like 16:9 if you want to. So this is a limit that we have here, and the limitation also of the Oppo Pro mode. I wouldn't even call it Pro mode. It's like a movie mode with limited settings there. So shutter speed you can set up, and the focusing if you want, to white balance and such things. But even now, when I'm like recording, I cannot switch to the ultra wide angle if I want to. There's no ultra wide angle button. I cannot like use my fingers to slide around and so on. And I also have to hold it differently here because I think it is cropping the top and bottom a little bit to get this mode here. So it's not full 4K. I think it's more like 3K, something like this, 3800 by 1600 kind of resolution that it's recording in, which is not ideal, not the full resolution here. But what you be the judge. What do you think about this quality here of the Oppo Find X7 Ultra? I think Oppo is pretty good when it comes to automatic mode and automatically filming stuff with the video mode, but when it comes to manually setting things up, we have lots of limitations there. A real true pro mode for the master mode that they have would be ideal here, also for video. But sadly, they are not offering this, and I hope that Oppo will listen and will offer a true pro video mode as well, not only the movie mode, or at least get the movie mode so advanced that it can act as a pro video mode. So what do you think about the quality here of the Oppo? And yeah, for sure the Vivo has much more features there. 25 frames, 50 frames per second, for example, focus peaking, zebra highlights and so on, which is far nicer there in terms of like when you want to manually set things up. So what do you think about this one here? Write it down in the comment section. That's everything for this short little video. Hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, comment, but be civilized when you comment down below. Don't like claim all the people are stupid or blind, they don't see things. Just write down your opinion, write your points down, be civilized in the comment sections. That is everything for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Until the next time, bye.